welcome back to the 17th episode of our still unnamed survival series. Today we are going to be taking a little bit of a step backwards and working over at our guardian farm again. We are going to be putting in all of the lights for our sorting system and making this area look a little bit more finished. This is, after all, going to be our primary home in the very near future. I've taken a little bit of time to gather up all the resources that we need, all of these redstone components, and that's given me some time to think about what I'm going to do with this area right over here, and I haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to do. So that is definitely something I'm going to be thinking about when I'm building up the light indicators for our storage system. I would like our walls to match the floor a little bit and give us that dungeony crumbling feel. We can always change up this color palette later on when we figure out what we want. Oh, that's not right. Why are you all in there? I might have a sorter broken. That's not good. It was not broken. I have no idea how any of those items got into that chest, but we're going to ignore that for now and continue to work on our storage silo. We're going to continue with this gray-black pattern to match the floor a little bit and build up as much as we can in this aesthetic. It's also very important that whatever block you choose for your specific color palette needs to be a solid block. These are the blocks getting powered to power our redstone lamps. One thing to keep in mind when building these storage silos, if you want it to be closed off on a wall and you still want it to look good, stairs are a very good option to incorporate into your design because you can place them above chests and still open up your chests, unlike placing a solid block above them, because solid blocks prevent you from opening up chests, and that kind of defeats the purpose of a storage system. Now that we have the base of our system set up, we need to start placing in all of the redstone components and decide where we want to take our redstone output from. Personally, I like to take my redstone output from these hoppers right here, just so I know that we have a full chest on that layer before the light even lights up. And when taking your redstone output, you always want to put a block underneath the layer that you're taking your output from. That way, the comparator sits right in front of the block you're reading from and powers the block sitting right in front of it. Once the block is powered from the comparator, it is going to turn on the block that it's next to. That block being the redstone lamps. And now that I've explained all the mechanics of this system, I'm going to go ahead and build our first silo so we can actually know what it looks like when it's finished. This is what your bare bones storage silo looks like with a light up indicator. This is a pretty simple system, but now we're going to go ahead and finish this up aesthetically and functionally because these blocks are the ones that will be powered to power our redstone lamps. I do want this to look good, so again, we're just going to mix up the blocks. But as you can tell, as I'm placing these blocks, the redstone lamps are lighting up because they're finally receiving power. Well, we finished up our first silo, and now we need to do the rest of them, make this entire area look pretty. And I think this is best achieved in a time lapse, so let's rock it right into it. And just like that, we have now finished our indicators for our sorting system. I do want to point out a few little quirks about how I set up this system. This is just a personal preference, and you can really switch it up any other way. So we are skipping a light from the chest, and we notice that this light isn't turned on. The chest behind it is completely empty, while the one underneath it is completely full. So even if we don't have a light on, that doesn't mean there's nothing in this system. We will have 3 full double chests of items, not including hoppers, before the first little indicator light even turns on. That's something that we will have to keep in mind. We are going to take another quick little time lapse just to test out the system, make sure it actually works the way that I want it to and need it to. I still don't know what I'm doing over here yet. I know that I want to store large amounts of prismarine and prismarine bricks and sea lanterns. But other than that, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to go about it. But with that said, I think that I'm going to hop into that time lapse and watch this system for a little while. So I've been kind of toying around with the ideas in my head for what I actually want to do with this section over here and how I'm gonna get it to store everything that I want it to store. And this has a wonderful solution. We're just gonna take exactly what we did on this wall right over here and bring it over here. It's simple, it's easy, and then we don't even have to make any more redstone lines. We can just put in a little connector line right here to our water elevator, and we could sort it from the same water line. No hassle, no fuss. We could even put a little input chest somewhere along here, maybe a little bit further back so we can keep it flush with the wall. But this would work. So I think this is the route that we are gonna take. I am going to go down here though and check and see if we have, well, clearance to actually put some systems. And for now I'm going to mark up the line of where we are putting our line. That's going to go right over one of our trident killers. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to toy around a little bit over here and we'll see what I come up with. This is kind of the system that I came up with. We have our input chest right here, and then out the back we have the same little circuit slash gizmo that we have over on our other system right over there. This is just a little bit smaller, like a small little slice of that big machine. But this works out phenomenally. These pistons are going to be flush with this wall here, and everything just worked out really well. I have no complaints, but we're going to go ahead and test it out real quick just to make sure it actually works. Fantastic. It works perfectly. I think that I'm going to use this system right over here and something similar to this a lot more in the future. I really like how well this works and does what it needs to. I would like to show the underside of it real quick just to show you how perfectly this fits here. I couldn't have planned this better if I tried. If we had redstone right here, it would have been a problem because it would have been powered by the block above it. But since we've got this one block gap, everything fits so perfectly together. And honestly, I can't believe how well it fits. I'm really kind of surprised. I've now gone ahead and connected up some water streams. Everything is fully connected to our little sorting system up there. I did leave some space over on the right side to potentially add a shulker box unloader, but we aren't going to touch that side for a while now. Our main focus is finishing up the bulk storage. We're going to copy what's on the right side and put it on the left. So naturally, the first thing that we have to do is build up more storage silos. I actually really enjoy the process of making these large storage silos. It's kind of relaxing. Not too complex, very repetitive, but very boring and very rewarding. Honestly, not having to empty out this Guardian farm at all is really gonna be a big plus. Not to mention all the other storage that we're going to have for other blocks made from this stuff. I am a huge fan of massive sorting systems and storage systems. They're one of my favorite things in Minecraft. Now that we have the storage silos built up, it's time that we actually put the sorting systems on the top. These are pretty simple. These are going to be just like the ones over on the right. Double speed, quick, easy, efficient. and most importantly, relatively glitch-free. The impulse item sorters in Bedrock Edition are kind of unreliable at times. Not to mention the impulse item sorters are only single speed, whereas these are double speed. So there's that too. Overall, these are just some handy-dandy little sorting systems. These are very easy to build, and we are finishing up the final touches for these now. We're just going to add some hoppers with one gap in between each other. This is the final little step before we can add our filters and then put the lights in, because this side is going to be exactly like the other. We want the symmetrical and really looking pretty. I think I am going to change up the design for this little area eventually, but for now I think we're going to stick with the stone theme. And that should be it. We're finished with the sorters. Fantastic, look at that. We now have our wall of chests in and our item filters put in. Now we can actually get started on the rest of our lights. And just like the last time, we're going to take our redstone input from the same areas, making sure that these are exactly the same. Left and right, no difference, same color palette, everything will be identical. I like the look of this a little bit more than I thought I would. Just this massive tower of redstone lamps. I think this looks really, really good. Either way though, we have all of these put in a massive line of storage. This is absolutely incredible. The 6 on the left here are going to be dedicated to prismarine bricks, sea lanterns, and dark prismarine. We're probably gonna have prismarine bricks, and the dark prismarine only have 1. While the sea lanterns and normal prismarine have 2 of each. I have a feeling we're going to be using a lot more of those. Fantastic, we have all of this in now. It is looking wonderful. I love the way that this little area is turning out. And on the subject of progressing this little area, I've added this water turnaround here on our water stream, just so if any items get missed by our hoppers here, they have a second chance at getting collected. All of our hoppers and everything we put into the system will have a home, so it would kind of be a waste if we put a trash can at the end and we're just throwing away good materials. Now that we are done with everything over by the Guardian farm today, I think it's about time that we actually tackle some automatic farming. We have a huge empty space over by our village, and I think it's about time that we extend our village. We have some farms and manual farms that I really don't want to tinker around with anymore, so I think it's about time that we automate our farming. I think the first thing that we should automate is wheat. No, not bread, wheat. I know that a lot of villager-powered farms often give you bread instead of wheat, and that's primarily for food. But what we want is roof material. We want wheat and wheat blocks to make the roofs for our houses. Not just for food, but for building materials. We are also going to be building a massive building around our farm just to blend it in with our village. So I've kind of decided on this spot right over here next to this river for our wheat farm. I'm thinking that it's going to be in the theme of like a grain mill with like a water wheel just connected right to the side of the building here. I think that that would be a really cool theme. I'm also thinking that I would like to put this building at a diagonal, like our barn over there. I kind of like the way that that added the feel to the village. I'm not 100% certain that that is what I'll do, but it's definitely food for thought. But now I need to figure out where I'm going to put this wheat farm. I know that I would like to put it underground and then put the building on top of it, but I don't know exactly where I'm going to do that yet. I'm thinking somewhere around this area. I've decided where it's going to go, and I've marked out this little area. This is exactly where it needs to be. And we need to bring this down 15 blocks from the lowest point, so about right here. That might be an issue though, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna hit a ravine. I mean, I guess that's less digging for us, but we're gonna have to build up a little perimeter. Ah yes, we totally hit that ravine. This may have been a bad spot to build this farm. We're gonna keep it here though. I really do like the spot. And this is our hole. We covered up the ravine again and we smoothed out our walls. We might remove some of the granite and diorite, but I don't quite know yet. But we're gonna fly up and take a look at it because I need to get an idea of what we're actually gonna build. I have very few ideas about what this is gonna end up looking like. I think I may have been getting a little ahead of myself there. We still need to do all of our redstone things first before we can even think about the build. We're gonna raise up this platform by 2 so we can construct our redstone clock underneath. I do want my output going in a certain direction, and this farm kind of has to be oriented in a specific direction. What we're constructing now is a timer of sorts. This is a long time timer, not going with tick speed, but half hour and hour, and we're gonna achieve this by using a double dropper system. I haven't really played around with this too much, but essentially what this timer is doing is moving stacks of items between droppers, and every time all of the items switch droppers, it sends out a redstone input. So we will be using that to make a dispenser shoot out water about every half hour. We have now finished the circuitry for this clock, and this right here is the center. We're going to put a torch tower going directly up, and that is what is going to activate our dispenser. But we're going to have a look inside of these droppers, and we're going to add about a stack of items in this one. There's already 15 in the other system over here. We're going to take a look at that in a second. Before we even look into the actual ways this clock works, we're going to start up the clock. We're going to give this main little system one little pulse, and that should start our clock. This is giving direct signal to the first set of dispensers, and those are passing items between each other. There are 15 in here, and every time that 15 items moves from dispenser to dispenser, it's going to send out a pulse over to these droppers over here, and that's going to move one item between those dispensers. Every time that stack of 64 gets passed between dispenser to dispenser, it's going to send out a pulse to this torch tower right here. It's going to double click it on and off, and what that is going to do is send a signal upwards to a dispenser where water will be dispensed, breaking all of our crops. It'll send a second signal collecting the water to replant the crops. Now that we have the basics of our redstone system in place, it's time that we actually figure out how we're going to put the minecart system in. This is the layer in which the minecart track is going to sit, just under where our villager will be planting and harvesting the crops. This track is pretty much going to go from edge to edge all the way around this little hole. We are going to leave a 1 block gap just so we have areas to put the water so the crops are fertilized. Now that we've built this thing right here where our minecart is going to sit, we need to mark out from the center how far we want our dirt to go. We need to make sure that the minecart can collect everything that the villager breaks, so this has to be pretty much the exact size of the minecart plate. So these dirt blocks on the outside of our little minecart plate here, these are our markers for how big the farm is going to be. It's a little bit bigger than our minecart plate here, so we're going to extend our minecart plate just so we can get the maximum amount of crops per the area of this farm. I want to try and squeeze as much out of this farm as physically possible. Now that we've extended our minecart plate, and this is the final shape we're going with, I'm going to take this little section over here and turn this into our off-ramp for our minecart to go into a minecart unloader. It's pretty important that we know what side this is. Alright, fantastic. We have all of our rails in. This is everywhere that the villager will be able to break wheat and drop it. So now we just need to go on the underside and power all these. They're all powered now. Now that we have our rails powered and pretty much everything on the underside of this farm completely finished, I'm going to go ahead and start putting in our actual crop platforms where our villager's going to sit and where our wheat is actually going to grow. This is now pretty much the farm. We have grass everywhere where there needs to be, and I guess it's time to put the water in. So I'm going around the edges of this farm and basically putting a block above where I see rails, and we just won't put water there. But all the other holes, those are going to hold water, and that should fertilize every part of this top layer. which is very important. I want as many crops as possible, and we want fertilized ground for that. We've also got this little center thing that's gonna look like a fountain. This helps fertilize the middle portion of it. I went ahead and put all of the water in, as well as this little ladder to the heart of our farm, but I'm gonna go ahead and till all of this farmland, and we should end up with a lot of fertilized soil. And now that I've done that, I'm also going to go ahead and add a bunch of sea lanterns around this farm, just so we don't have any mobs spawning in this general area. It's just a little preventative action to keep our villagers safe. I'm also going to put a lot of sea lanterns down underneath the farm in the timer area, because we don't want mobs spawning down here either. It would be a real shame if a creeper came down here and blew up my clock. We're really kind of on the detail side of things. I don't know if anybody's ever going to see the inside of this one, because I'm thinking I'm going to stack this farm. Maybe do one farm carrots and the other wheat. But we're going to go ahead and make this look nice and pretty on the inside anyway, and just texturing the walls a little bit. We're going to be using the same general palette and random texture that we use on pretty much all of the stone bases on the houses and buildings in our village. Again, just to give it kind of a cohesive feel. So now what I am doing is building up the main section of our farm. This is pretty much what allows it to work. We're going to arrange these blocks in a very specific way, and that's going to allow the water from the top of this little fountain to flow out in every direction, hitting all spots of the farm. We want this to pretty much go everywhere in this small little square. That is really what's going to be driving our farm. Water is going to pop out from the top of this, and it's going to knock down all of the crops, which will be picked up by our hopper minecart, and this minecart is going to pick up everything. But it's still going to leave just enough time for our farmer villager to grab the seeds that appear and restock himself to continue planting. And speaking of farmer villagers, I think it's about time that we went ahead and put one in his new home. This is going to be our farmer. He's going to basically harvest all of our crops for the rest of his and our life. Kinda sad when you think about it. At least he gets free food. So now we're going to give him 8 stacks of seeds. He should pretty much just immediately start planting. Yes, take the seeds. They are all yours. Now that our farmer villager is planting away, we need to keep him safe. So we are going to enclose him with a glass ceiling. This is going to keep all the mobs out, any phantoms. Phantoms don't attack villagers, do they? Either way, this is going to keep him safe and protected from any and all things that will want to hurt him. We are looking great. We've got our floor in, and we've left a gap around the fountain just so the water has room to go. But I think it's time for a test. I'm gonna go ahead and watch this farm for maybe half an hour, just so we can watch the timer go on and off for a bit. Oh, I fell. Either way, we're gonna watch this farm, see if anything goes wrong, and if there's anything that we actually need to fix before we finalize it. Oh. That's not good. Yep, okay. I forgot to place a repeater. We should be all good now. That should work. Unfortunately, we are running out of time for this episode today, but I would like to put in our minecart unloading system before we call it. So I'm going to dig out a little section, yeah, right here, so we can fit this back into the wall. Should be a pretty snug fit. So I've pretty much just copied the design that we put in our bamboo farm, and it seems like it's working pretty phenomenally already. We're also going to be putting a water elevator right outside of our dropper system, and it's going to lead up to the surface. I've also left this point open right here so we can just observe where our hopper minecart is at all times. Just in case it breaks, we need to break it, or we just need to watch it for whatever reason. I think that keeping an eye on your systems is always really important in your Minecraft world. Now that we can actually unload our hopper minecart, our villager is harvesting and replanting, and our water system is working just fine. I think we're going to call that an episode right here. I had a lot of fun making this episode, and if you are at all interested in seeing what I do with this farm, come watch the next episode. I'll be taking a deeper dive into the redstone and building a big building around this, coming up with a theme for it, some ideas, and it's going to look really good, and I would love to have you there. My name is Red Skies, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. And as always, if you have any tips and tricks for using DaVinci Resolve, video editing in general, or if you just want to say something in relevance to the series, that would be awesome. Drop a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts, your opinions. But anyway, thanks for watching.